You know the music. Time to dance.
You know his name, you've seen his colours, you recognise that gold visor, and you especially stay attentive whenever he drops a hard as all nails one-liner. The Master Chief, Halo Chief, Mr. Chief, John, Sierra 117.
Demon!
Regardless of what you refer to him as, he, in full Mjolnir Mark 6 Gen 3 titanium alloy, has been the be-all and end-all of Halo for almost 20 years, and potentially onwards, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Every character in the Halo universe has been very much held up to his standard of iconography, and also pure, uncompromising tenacity and courage. But let's put him down. He's pretty heavy with this, ton of armor that he wears. I'm sorry, Chief, but you're gonna have to just, take a step back. Okay, now that we've just manhandled Chief, let's get into the rest of the script. We have also dropped feet first into hell as the naive yet incredibly efficient and resourceful rookie in Halo 3 ODST to navigate through the desolate macabre, albeit relaxing and soothing, New Mombasa streets, whilst piecing together what the hell happened to the rest of the ragtag yet characteristically beguiling Alpha 9 squad members. And sure, we have sacrificed our life for Spartan B312 as a martyr to oppose the Great Journey, and everything that the Mighty Hierarchs stand for. But, for me at least, and maybe for you as well, these always felt like side stories because, well, they were. They served as a journey to the destination that was Chief's story during the Human Covenant War. Of course, they were incredible, and I'm not disputing that in any way, but it was always something that was lurking in the back of my mind, like a grave mind sifting through my memories to find something of great use to add to the collective. Yeah, even though we love the Covenant killing, flood stomping, pale-faced big green fella, there will come a time, unfortunately, where he will have to rack his M840 assault rifle, pull out his walking stick, and finish the fight one last time. Unfortunately for us, that time may already be nigh. We just don't know it yet. Thus, without reminiscing too hard, let's get into how Halo can evolve within the medium once everyone's favourite Spartan 2 departs for the great journey for good. Legacy is up first. The innate problem when it comes to Chief fading out of the titular character role is that he is of course the unequivocal mascot for the series, but he's also the face of Xbox. Ever since Bill Gates and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stood on stage in front of millions of gamers and the tech world alike to present the next generation of video game technology in 2001, as well as Microsoft swiping up that skinny looking Chief from Steve Jobs, and then in 2002, Bungie dropping us on an incredibly mysterious ring world, Chief was the guy to be. He has been cosplayed more times than Cortana yelling in your ear.
Keep your head down, there's 2 of us in here now, remember?
Kids have had birthday parties surrounding him, and most impactfully, he was one of the first, if not the only character that I know of, that at the time was shutting down Times Square for its midnight launch of his 3rd game. That's incredible.
That was a real-time, direct connection to our community.
It was probably the moment at Halo 3 launch where I realized, wow, this is as big as anything can get.
I remember being in Manhattan where the big launch was occurring, and it was absolute pandemonium. Bungie turned it into this seminal, worldwide cultural event. You might not see people playing games because it's practiced in their own home, but everybody is doing it.
Less than 50 seconds until you guys get your hands on Halo 3. You pumped? So excited right now.
Master Chief rules!
Hell, I was on my way to work a few days ago and I was reading Halo the Flood as I'm currently trying to get through all of the Halo books in preparation for Infinite, and I made eye contact with someone that was reading too. She asked, "Hey, what are you reading?" I responded with, "It's a book called Halo the Flood, what are you reading?" She looked to be confused, seemingly having nothing to say other than To Kill a Mockingbird, then something clicked in her command neural interface. Her eyes widened and before she could say anything else, she said, "Oh wait, Halo! My kids used to play a computer game like that all the time. There was aliens and you had jeeps to ride around on. You played as a green spaceman, right?" The conversation continued as any other. I told her that the games are still going and these are the books that give you more detail into the world and universe. Eventually, she had to get off at her stop, and like most great stories, it came to a satisfying conclusion. But again, I digress. Something stood out to me at that moment in time. This woman was, maybe in her late 50s, potentially early 60s, and Chief's influence definitely goes beyond gaming. He's not at the level of Mario or Sonic by any means, but I would definitely argue many parents like her remember their child playing it for hours on end, and if they remember it for the zeitgeist that it was in a much simpler time, then so did many others. He was far-reaching and Halo would not be where it was without Chief to this day, so thank you for that, Bungie. So we discussed the iconography of Chief. He's the blue-eyed baby boy of Halo and Microsoft alike, and he definitely assumes the youngest child role, even though he's the oldest, to Xbox's ever-expanding, family, especially with the recent Bethesda acquisition. But what else is going for Chief as a character? Well, that comes in with how Chief is quite literally the player embodied. Hence, the next section is exactly that. Character embodiment and player representation is up next. Like many other first-person characters at the time, such as Gordon Freeman from the Half-Life series,
time to choose. It's time to choose.
So right now, what I need is for you to climb down out of my ass.
and one of the founding fathers of the genre, Doom Guy, now more aptly named the Doomslayer, Halo released in a time where the protagonists in the games were successful due to their lack of personality and, well, character. As Joe Staten famously put it,
one of the keys to the success of the story is we didn't pump a lot of time into figuring out who the Master Chief was and why he was a ghost in his shell. We thought he is a husk. He's a big green suit of armor that you move around.
There's something good about having the Master Chief essentially be a blank slate that helps each individual person connect to the character.
You found me, but so much of me is wrong.
Nowadays, shooter games, whether taking the form of first or third person viewpoints, often give the player a much more dynamic character. We do not often have a narrative told to us in the way that Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, Bungie's Halo games, many of the early Call of Duties, BioShock, or even the original Wolfensteins delivered so effectively. Ever since the start of the 7th generation with uber popular series or titles such as Gears of War, Spec Ops The Line, Far Cry 3, Borderlands, and the modern Wolfensteins, we've seen an overwhelming amount of interest garnering for playable characters in shooters that have more going for them than that of a static character design philosophy, with the hopes that you can fully embody them through the various trials and tribulations. Even in this modern generation, Wolfenstein has evolved BJ to one that has an admittedly cantankerous yet likeable personality for a character that just used to blast Nazis down blue hallways. I mean, who doesn't love a good Nazi killer in their video games or media? But don't get it twisted, this is in no way meant to be saying that static or dynamic characters that have been listed or will continue to be listed in this video are not welcome in our video games now. In fact, we welcome both types with open arms. Take the Doomslayer in id Software's immaculate Doom Eternal and Jack Cooper in Titanfall 2 as prime examples of modern video games that take two entirely different approaches to first-person shooter protagonists and playable characters. By the way, EA, you better make a Titanfall 3, otherwise I'm coming for your ass. If anything, we've seen the instant backlash that established franchises can garner when they introduce a new character that is also not as representative of the player as the original playable character. An example of this is the deuteragonist of both Halo 2 and Halo 3, Thelvadam, or Thelvadame as he was once called before his downfall, or, more colloquially known as to the uninitiated, the Arbiter. When the script was flipped and we played as this Sangheili veteran, people viewed him as someone overtaking and replacing the Chief. Of course, that never came to fruition due to it never really being the intention of Bungie from the start. Yet, he was, and we can all agree on this I would hope, a crucial addition to develop the lore and story throughout the Bungie timeline. Quite frankly, Arby as the deuteragonist, and I would even argue to some extent the protagonist of Halo 2, was the reason that mostly everything happened in the Halo 2 narrative. Chief, however, filled his role perfectly just like he did in Halo Combat Evolved. He was the sword of the UNSC, and he embodied everything that is brilliant and was brilliant about the humans during the Human Covenant War. It's truly fantastic what they did with the script of Halo 2, and I duly argue, and I've argued this before, that Halo 2 has one of the best, if not in my opinion, the best first-person shooter campaign of all time because of the amount of themes and things that, fully embody everything within the gameplay. But I digress once again. Damn, that's 3 digresses so far. I said I was trying to stay on topic, but Jesus Christ. I can really talk for days about Halo. I need help. Initial reactions to new characters being involved as potential future protagonists and playable characters are not always representative of things to come and how people might look upon them when the whole vision is played out in full. For example, and keeping with the theme of, the Halo 2 and Halo 3 and the Arbiter, I can promise you that by the time Halo 3 ended, 99% of the community was very satisfied with the climax of this epic saga. With that in mind, let us look at how 343 could bridge into the next era of Halo, while also allowing Chief to take off his Mjolnir armor for good, and let Steve Downes rest that also succulent voice of his, because he's definitely earned it. For Halo to truly evolve per se, it needs to simply broaden its horizons. No longer should Halo be confined to a traditional first-person shooter franchise, it should branch into other genres as well. Indeed, we have seen it expanded into the real-time strategy genre with Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2, which was helmed by the now, company that leads the entire intellectual property 343 Industries, yet that is as far as it's been taken outside of its foundational roots, aside from its, twin stick Spartan Art, Spartan Assault, and also, the arcade game Fireteam Raven, which duly needs a PC and console port because I haven't played that game because I can't find it anywhere in the UK to play. And I love Halo, and I love the fact that they've done that because it respects the lore and it respects the medium, and it's so cool just like playing with your friends. I need to find one. Someone in the UK, tell me where one is. Okay, so you may be asking, what genres could Halo expand into? I mean, it works perfectly well as a shooter, which I definitely agree, by the way. I'm not saying it should completely divulge away from the foundation, but I do think that it could definitely get into other genres as well, as potential side projects all led by other companies aside from 343 Industries. The entirety of Halo is truly, truly rife with possibilities. The universe is far beyond any other shooters in its medium in terms of, Call of Duty and Battlefield. Far beyond it. So, what can't Halo expand into? Well, picture this as an idea, yeah? Let's mock up. Let's get our brains on, shall we? You are a Marine that was part of the Orion Project, or more colloquially known as Spartan 1s. You have the designated rank of Sergeant Major, hence, you retain leadership responsibility, and there is incredible weight on your shoulders. You and your entire squad, consisting of 7 members, with the help of some Spartan 4s, have recently seized the garrison on an installation that was near to a flood laboratory, and have been ordered to guard it under encryption code Red. The squad settles down for days, getting more and more relaxed with every cycle that passes by. It is 2200 hours local time. You are servicing your M840 combat rifle. The squad is sitting around a campfire telling stories, laughing, and reminiscing over their fallen comrades, when a radio transmission is picked up on Gonzalez's radio pack.
Fireteam Sierra to Fireteam Yalta, come in, over. Fireteam Sierra to Fireteam Yalta, come in, over.
This is Fireteam Yalta, go ahead.
There has been a breach in containment. Be aware there's been a breach of containment at Alpha. No, get back, you freak! Get back! Ah! Get that off me! Ah!
Your eyes widen as if you was just pierced with an energy sword. You look up. The Marines are frozen solid. You see in their eyes that very same look you once had when you first encountered the Flood in Voi, the East African Protectorate, during the waning years of the Human Covenant War. Mind-numbing confusion, stomach-curdling disgust, and terror that can make even the hardiest warriors freeze as if cast upon by Medusa's gaze. You hear a loud and piercing roar in the distance. That's no brute, sir, Miller says with a tremble. No, it is not. In that split second, you gather everything you can muster from deep within. Instinctively, you bark out. 5 clicks east of here, Alpha Lab has fallen. You all heard it over the radio. The Almighty was not my only witness. Now, because of the overwhelming number of suits that were working there, I can only assume that this is a serious amount of flood we are going to be dealing with. Commander ordered us to stay put and keep Beta Lab secure, so that is what we are going to do. I want us all to retreat within the structure because by my guess, these freaks are coming here to gain some more biomass. Gonzalez, you will radio for backup once we know the structure is secure. We will not fail tonight. You look at them and think, they look terrified. They're just kids. But still, you bellow, are we Marines? They all roar out in unison as if the strength of their forefathers were pushing the words out. No, sir. Damn right. Now let us hustle into the lab. Scully, you take point. Roger that, sir. As Scully, Conrad, Jones, Miller, Gonzalez, and Perez all pass by, you see that fear in their eyes. They've never seen the Flood before. They've fought the Ungoi, the Jiralhane, and even a good amount of Sangheili, but none of those come anywhere near as close to the visceral and barbaric nature of a Flood infection form. These break bones, sever arteries, and the worst part, manipulate your body so they can use you. These Marines did not know it yet. Once they stepped inside Beta Lab, most of them would not feel the warmth of the sun again. The introduction ends with the protagonists putting on their helmet, checking their surroundings, and proceeding into the darkness of the structure. The scene fades to black. You hear another roar. title card drops. Halo Outbreak. Now that is just one potential way Halo could go from this to something that is completely different in terms of, you know, genre and also tone. It is a rough sketch, but one that I think could work given, you know, further concept and writing and script planning and all that different things that usually goes on when it comes to, you know, game design. But I think could, you know, really work because Halo up until this point with this guy, Locke, maybe even the rookie, definitely, you know, in terms of abilities and also not necessarily the narrative, but Spartan B312 or Noble 6, you've been empowered for literally so long. I mean, everything about Halo is all about you getting better weapons and learning the strategies for fighting the various chess pieces on the battlefield that are, you know, the AI, which Ackman put so perfectly. And it's literally so perfect in Rife for the Taking because it flipped the script and gives some, you know, the Halo fanbase something that I think they don't really know they need. I think it's something that could genuinely give some more, I would say, substance to that universe. Make you appreciate the Marines ever so much more than, you know, what we've already seen. I mean, they've always been respected by the Halo community. There's no doubt about that because they're literally so weak in comparison to the rest of the Covenant, yet so brave and so courageous. But at the same time, we've always looked at them as a B tier character, obviously a C tier character in fact, in the Halo universe. Whereas if we started focusing more on the squads rather than the individual, you know, elite units such as this guy, the hyper lethal boy dem, it's something that could definitely work. And I think it's time. I think it's time to look at the lesser people, the lesser strength, the lesser, you know, physically imposing and physically able people. Because they're the people that made the UNSC really tick over throughout the Human Covenant War before, you know, the Mjolnir project really kicked up and before the Spartan 2s really, and the Spartan 3s and Spartan 4s were, you know, in fact created. So getting back on topic, it will strip power away from the player, making you hide, use improvised weaponry, use a lot more wit and cunning. But what is more is that a survival horror would be a good transitional game that could ease the player base into more out there genres like the ones, you know, I'm about to list. Personally, I would like to see more studios with the supervision of 343 Industries and Xbox Game Studios taking it completely tangentially as opposed to pertinently. How about a Star Fox 64 style game where you fly a Pelican dropship or longsword, taking out Seraphs, Phantoms and Banshees? How about an interactive movie style game that takes massive notes from The Walking Dead or Life is Strange, whilst making it a narrative about a UNSC officer's or Marines' redemption story? Or even potentially digging more into how the Sangheili grow to be the honorary warriors that they are, whilst on Sanghelios. Maybe even a stealth game, where you are a Prophet-blessed special operations officer just like Zuka Zamame from the novel Halo the Flood. Instead, you are tasked with taking down key members of the UNSC during the peak of the Human Covenant War. These are all potential possibilities that get my mind racing with excitement, and I would love to hear your guys' like, you know, thoughts on these, and also your own ideas in terms of, you know, genre of games. I mean, I've seen loads of videos just like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section on mine. So, after all that has been discussed, I do undoubtedly think, and many that have indulged themselves into the expanded universe might agree, that Halo has a future without its icon and also its traditional genre. Like most IPs when titular characters must move on, it depends entirely on how Chief fades out of the series. Will they just kill him off in an unceremonious or unfitting way? If so, many, including myself, won't be happy with that. Will they allow him to take off that armor for good and settle down? It may be bittersweet, but potentially a fitting one. The future of Halo's protagonists and characters rest in this very element of how Chief is handled when he fades out of the series. Many people would tune out of the series if they do not feel their big green spaceman is not handled with respect, and I don't blame them. I will probably be the same way if that is the case. But regardless of how they execute that fading out of John, it will have to fit, and I don't envy 343 when they reach that moment, as they will literally, quite literally, have the entire weight of our dreams, hopes and memories and nostalgia, which is, you know, really preciously held by fans like us, to deal with. That is scary. That's really scary. Aside from how they handle Chief, the way they branch out in the future will matter just as much. Many might see it as pandering or milking the cow. Sure, there will always be people that hate on a game regardless of what it does or where it, eventually evolves into, which I think is necessary for a franchise to fully stand the test of time. I mean, you're gonna have to evolve eventually. In this case, only time will tell, but I do hope we get a survival horror first-person flood game as a Marine on a Halo. I think that would be absolutely brilliant, so do it. Do it. And that is about it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I would appreciate it if you dropped a like, left a comment, and maybe, if you're feeling extra saucy, hitting that subscribe button, as we love everything Halo around here, and there will definitely be more Halo related content uploaded in the future, especially as Halo Infinite is just on the horizon. On a final note, I will leave you one of my favourite endings to one of my most cherished videos of all time. Take it easy, Spartans, and hopefully I will see you on Installation 07 in the fall of this year to finish the fight one last time. Sierra 399, out.
There was always a culture of reflection and of not being satisfied with something just being okay, with really feeling like it has to be great.
At the end of every production, they draw on a whiteboard a plane that's on fire, and then the analogy is you've got to land, right? Like, this sucker's got to land sooner or later, but you've also got to think about what's most vital to the experience. If you hold on to everything in the back of the plane, all your dreams, all your hopes, all your aspirations, you're gonna blow up. So you've got to eventually get light and land that sucker.
There's a lot of great stuff that was almost cut. The shotgun was almost cut. But, good is never good enough for Bungie.
Everybody cares. Everybody sits in the same big pit, and we're all in it together, and it's a good feeling.
The people here are really critical. It's really hard to impress them. Yet, the best part is how much fun it is to work with them.
We've joked about it as a three-ring circus. Sometimes the spotlight shifts around. Everything is really active at all times.
As we get better at doing things, we also keep biting off more and more and more, meaning that we're always on the verge of tackling something too big and falling on our faces.
There's always this moment where everything just comes together, it all coalesces, and the effects guy goes like, here's what I've been working on for 18 months, bam, and it just all self-assembles, almost as if it's a sentient being.
There's a reason I'm loyal. I didn't know I was a first-person shooter until I played Halo. I put my faith in Bungie.
No matter what, that's who Bungie is. We're always going to make what we want to make, and we're going to make it a game that we want to play.
I've been there. I've seen the noses to the grindstones. I know what's going on. I know that they're working hard. I know that they're passionate.
I wanted to make sure that the fans know that we did Halo because we wanted to do Halo, and we did the ODST because we wanted to do ODST, and we did Reach because we wanted to do Reach. But now we want to do something brand new, and now we want to do something different.
I can't wait to share with the fans what we're working on.
We are moving on. We're building something new, something totally different.
Looking forward, everything needs to be invented. Everything has to be created from scratch. There are no characters that are returning because all the characters are new. It's really exciting to be part of such a big team working on something brand new.
Bungie's next project is obviously incredibly ambitious and incredibly exciting. A new world, a new universe. There's a scale to what Bungie wants to do, which people have not seen before.
We feel responsible for not just telling an isolated story, but for building a universe that at some point is going to become more the fans than ours. It's going to take a life of its own.
We don't know what the future holds. We have to push past that self-doubt and that fear.
If it's not scary, then it's not going to be good.
We have other ideas. We have other, worlds that we want to create.
We want to build a universe where any crazy shit can happen.
We've got all that experience making really big games, so we know that what we're aiming for is going to be just that much bigger.
One reason that Tiger is so intriguing to so many people in the studio is that it's reaching players in ways that we haven't before.
That's it. That's gonna be fun. Clear the fucking table.
I believe that it absolutely will
be a game changer in the way that Halo was a game changer.
We didn't even know how big Halo was going to get. How can anything be bigger than Halo? We'll find out.